We are live.
Yay! Hi. So we're live for BB Breakdown 902, where two Nova Scotia super fans get together every week to talk Big Brother. We are just uploading our links right now to Twitter and, of course, to Facebook, just so if anyone wants to join in live, they are able to. Anybody that joins in after the fact, thank you so much for supporting two small town girls who are now relocated to Toronto. Just before we get into it, everybody can see who I'm supporting and have been supporting. Finally got my shirts in the mail from Black and Saint. So excited. I got this, and as well I got one of their newer Black and Saint shirts that you a different color rather than just the white version that had been going on for about 2 years. So you now can get it in like many colors. This is not an advertisement for a Black. Yes, it kind of is. I'm not making anything from it. Let's put it that way. Are we good, Linz?
We're good.
Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to talk backwards week, and then at the end we'll talk spoilers and also all the juicy gossip if you've watched our Twitter feed about what past Big Brother house guests in both Canada and the States are tweeting about in regards to BB Camp 5. So we'll start off just by like a little super quick recap of backwards week. So essentially it was backwards. The house nominated two house guests to go up for eviction, and then the next competition was the veto, and then the final competition was HOH, where that HOH was the sole person to evict either one of them left on the block. Were you surprised? I guess we'll start with the house guest noms. Were you surprised with who everybody nominated?
I was surprised that it was so without talking, without strategizing, that they all kind of were on the same page. Like that was pretty shocking to me. Clearly they had talked about it before, so yeah, I was a little bit surprised Gary was their next victim, but and then Dre was looped into it, but you know, you have an opportunity like that, you're going to go for it. It was interesting that everyone kind of like aligned and got on the same page on the 6th. So,
well, interestingly, and following the feed as closely and is following the 6's feed when they are showcased the few times, well, not the few times, but the few times that Netta showcased. If anyone saw the conversations that were to be had after the last eviction, after they got cast out, Netta was already starting to pick their brains about who should be nominated this week, and kind of not forcing the agenda, but kind of waiting her next victim, which would be Gary, for a few days before that nomination even took place. She was kind of picking the brain of who they would put on the block and trying to put up the people that she would want to see on the block to better her game. So I don't know if anyone agrees with me. You can tweet at us. If you don't, you can tweet at us. If you do, it was all a mastermind of Netta. Right after that Cassandra eviction, she started just like going at people privately, like talking about who they would nominate if they became HOH. And so kudos to her. She got the next person she wanted out without being HOH. So that was kind of exciting for me. Anyway, so I guess we'll move on to the next part of that. So Gary.
Well, let me interrupt for 1 second. I think, okay, well, I guess we'll just talk about Netta later. I don't know. I have a lot of opinions.
All right, I do too, so that's fine. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll get into that later about what ensued during the week and how the edit got portrayed on.
Okay, being a bully doesn't make you not edit. Anyway, okay.
We'll get into that. So we'll move on to how Gary and Dre handled themselves on the block. Gary, he gamed hard. He fought to stay, and in the process, like, it just continued to like provide constant entertainment. I'm really sad to see him go. I was a fan of him, and I was in this season, and I think he left soon. I don't know if it's going to be in the works to try and get him back in the house somehow, but what were your thoughts on Gary leaving this week?
I was devastated. I mean, I think like Ika said it best. He's Gary. He's like the best of the best. When people think of Big Brother Canada, they think of him. And I was really sad to see him go. It was really tough this early in the game to see him go. I didn't agree with it. So and it was just like I think it was really hard, and he probably knew where his chips were all lying when he sorry, I'm tweeting. Um, when when basically he was, I can't do two things at once apparently. When they did the slot pass stuff, it was really evident that people were out to get him, and if it was very telling. If I were him, I would have known my fate was sealed in that moment. Um, it was tough watching him get ganged up on.
Yeah, it was. I don't know that like. Okay, so we'll talk about the slop gate, I guess. So they did a backwards week with that as well. So the person with the most cookies ended up being a have, and the person that got the least amount of cookies ended up being the have-nots. And I think most people did because they wanted him out, but because they wanted to see the drama that ensued from Gary being on slop, and not to mention just like every week that, or the previous weeks that he would be a have, he would be poking at people that were have nots about how fabulous he was cooking and all of the food choices they had and the gourmet meals he was making up. So he was kind of poking at the have nots as it was. So I don't think it was so much being ganged up on. I think it was just a little bit of food for thought. So if you're going to poke at people that are have-nots, let's see you be a have-not and see how you feel about it. We all know how you feel about it because we watched your season. I think that was more it, not ganging up on him. But I don't know. That's my opinion on it. If anybody has a different opinion, they can tweet at us about it as well if you're listening. Okay, so any other thoughts on the slop gate as it's being called on Twitter?
I thought that Ika had a reason. At first, I was like, "Oh, you need to calm down," but then I also like kind of understand, like, I think she was embarrassed only because, who doesn't associate their pride? She's got two children. It's she's taking away a lot to beat. What?
Not to mention, I can't believe I forgot about the fight. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was just like kind of weird to see like her. I was like, why is she so upset? But then like I kind of thought about it, and I can understand why she got her like got kind of annoyed. And I think
Is it a
Dimitri,
not?
that just shows the difference between her age and his age, because he's just like, oh dude, I got my girl, blah blah blah, and she's like, don't you dare like put me on blast on national television. I don't appreciate that, and that like and like the reality of the situation is I think when you're in there, you probably forget that like you're on camera 24/7, so we can see you in the bed, we can see you kissing him, we can see all those things, but to call it out so blatantly because that's going to be aired is embarrassing, and I think she was embarrassed and upset, and I think she had a right to be.
And I think on top of that, she was kind of wondering because the paranoia gets to you, and being in that house, being entrapped, and all you can think is Big Brother, right? That's all. Morning tonight, you think Big Brother, how like what's going on with the game, how you can manipulate it to go your way. And so a part of that, I think, was, from what I saw in feeds anyways, was her being like super like paranoid about him going in the diary room and talking the exact same way about her if that's what he's doing, like during a televised competition. And so I kind of said, like, how much that he's playing me,
Yeah.
So part of that was her being worried that maybe he was just playing her, and what they had, which if you're following it on feeds, is something else. If what they have, their connection, is actually legitimate, or if it's just him playing the game and playing her in the process. So I'm glad they made up, and I think he was legitimately like hurt and super sad about it. Like you could tell the fallout on feeds anyway. I watched it on feeds, and he just didn't know what to do with himself. He was just lost is what he was. So I'm glad they made up. I think they have the closest connection in the house aside from William and Dre.
I mean,
Um,
I think his frontal lobe is not fully developed because he's that young. So I think I think he was like, "Ooh, I don't know, I'm gonna be funny," and she was like, "Don't you dare come at me, boy." It was amazing.
it was good. It was definitely good. It was good to watch on TV, and it was also good to follow on Twitter. The fallout of that. I can't believe I didn't remember that. Anyhow, okay, so I guess we'll move on to veto. So veto is had Gary unfortunately is eliminated, and Netta wins veto with a really long word. I was really surprised at the word she made, and
Which
she
is
keeps
not
the nom.
even really a word, underlit.
It is actually. I looked it up on Google. I thought the same thing to myself, but it is a word.
Okay.
It's in Wikipedia anyway. Anyway, so she wins the veto, and there's no, at this point in the time, she thought, no, there's no setting me different. Like, there's nothing that they can say to make me change my mind that I'm not using the veto because she wanted Gary out. Do you think this was an opportunity for Netta and Gary to come together, or do you think the seeds had been sowed in terms of that they are on completely different playing fields?
I think that they have gone in completely different playing fields. I think he tried, but I also think, okay. So she was very nice, which is shocking. Because I think that like when she did her speech, she was like, I had to like be smart and whatever. Like he knows this was her, and if he doesn't know, he's foolish. And then her speech was like, oh, like let's just be friends, but I'm going to respect the HOH's decision or respect the House's nominations. Like that's what she said. And the reality of the situation is like she was never going to use it on Gary. She knew it. And then when they had like words, him and Dre, when they kind of like took their low blows at one another or whatever, I think then she goes into the room and she's like, oh my God, he's something else. He's so ridiculous. But so like the reality of the situation is like she's gonna say the nice thing and be kind, and like his goodbye message was nice and whatever to her Earth that she sent, but like I don't think it's genuine at all. And so no, I don't think they were ever gonna rekindle. She had an agenda, she followed her agenda. You got to respect her for playing it. And yeah, no, I don't think they were ever gonna be friends again. I think he wanted to because he was hanging on to like anything at that point. But and then like the slot pass, and they had words, oh, you're a skinny bitch, and then she's giving him the middle finger. Like full on, they're not gonna be friends. And it's really sad when you have two vets that could have actually played a good game together and they just got their egos in the way.
Yeah, there's that, and I guess there's unforeseen things that went on before going into the house between the two of them. That's not really open knowledge, but what's rumored about on from what I've been following on Twitter, that they never did get along to begin with. So going into the house when you already have kind of bad blood to.
Oh, I loved what he said about Cass, though. Oh my God. And like him and whatever that girl, I don't know what her name is, Emily. And he's like, oh, bitch, you'll know who the villain is. I was like, yes. This is the best line of the season so far, my opinion.
Well, they are okay. So I guess we'll get into it now. They are giving Netta a villain edit. I'll let you go first, and then I'll go after you. In terms of, do you think she deserves the villain edit? Do you think she's playing that type of game that they're making her to be playing, or do you think she's just playing a smart, cunning game? And anybody that plays a game and is in power for most of the time is made out to be either a villain or a bully, or uh, like the powerful players always made out to be the bullies. And we've seen it in each season of Big Brother. No one likes the people that are in power. Everybody wants to root for the underdog. Do you think this is Netta's kind of falling on the sword of the underdog popularity because she is not on
No,
that?
I think that she's the one leading the charge and she knows it and her ego shows it. That rhymed. Uh, but I really do. I think that she is pulling all the puppet strings, and I think that because a lot of the newbies are, inexperienced and they all like are in awe of her, I think they're all letting her do it. She's got a huge target on her back in the sense that like, everybody knows Canada loves her, and she has like power until what? Like, when does she have power until? Like
I think
50?
this week's the last week. I think she loses it this coming week, and it's rumored to be a double eviction this week coming up. I
Yeah.
think she loses.
So I guess my thing is that, have they made her out to be a villain? Sure, edits can be done that way and stuff like that. Do I think that she's leading the charge and people are blind? Yes. I don't like when people don't have a thought for themselves, and I think she knows she's good, and I think people are just falling under her. I think the way that she talks to people is where I have a problem, and it's not about the game, and um it's not about strategy and this, that, and the other. I think bullying is a real thing, and I think she's a bully, and I don't appreciate how she talked to Cindy, and I've seen her on live feeds doing it, and I find it really hard to watch, and it reminds me of high school behavior, and I don't like it. So my respect for her has kind of plummeted, and I don't enjoy it, and so I'm not Team Netta, just because I think you have to live your life with character, and like, you got to be strategic, and it's a game, and I get that, but you don't have to treat people badly, and I don't think that's I would never treat my friends or people, even if they weren't my friends, like the way she's been treating people. So that's my opinion.
Okay, so I'll go into my thought processes on Netta now.
You're like, I will not counteract, I'll just tell you how I feel.
Pretty much. So first of all, she goes into the house being one of the most well-known female players in Big Brother history, period.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows her game. Everyone knows she's well respected. So she's already got a target on her back, huge target. Mm-hmm. Second of all, she gets this second week, she escapes the first eviction, and then second week she gets this immunity that puts an even bigger target on her back. So she has to not only prove herself by getting out who she wants and making everybody believe that what her agenda is the right agenda to play. And I think she's done what she's done to prove herself, really. And yes, some of the things that are being shown on live show are showing her to be a bully or showing her to just be a bitch. But frankly, they're piecing that together. I've been watching that on feeds. Every time she's on feeds, I've been watching. And that whole Cindy interaction that happened, they never showed her, like, she actually thought they were just joking around. It was a game. And afterwards, when she actually realized that Cindy was hurt, she like was the most apologetic, sorry person you could have ever seen. And it's funny how they didn't show a lick of that on TV. And Cindy, it's water under the bridge for the two of them. They're back to being the way they've always been, which is close in the game and close on a non-game level. And so I don't think Cindy, being as confident as a woman as she is, would have continued just salvaging that relationship and continuing on a non-personal level if she was actually legitimately feeling bullied. And I think I don't know. I'm really sad for the edit that she's getting, for somebody that's playing the game like any other person has played the game. And when boys play the game this way, they're never made out to be a bully. And now a woman is playing the game very smartly, and she's being made out to be a bully. And I'm really sad about it. And I hope that Netta, when she gets out, the people around her will be supportive and loving for the person she is and for the game that she's played up until this point. The only thing I'll have to say on the edit she's getting is that the people in the house, everybody in the house since she got that immunity, has been uber jealous, but yet have still been respecting her opinion, fearful of her, and doing what she wants ultimately anyway. And so I don't know. I just hope that she gets brought to final two, because everybody thinks that she's not going to get the votes because no one likes her.
The thing is that this season, what they're doing, or at least how I'm getting the vibe, is like, you really thought the vets were going to like band together, and the vets are going out one by one by one. This is the first week coming up that we're probably going to have a newbie out. And the reality of the situation is that it's really sad to see it, because I think it's like the past in the host, and I think they're all kind of like, well, I don't like Gary, well, I don't like Ika. I'm loving Ika, I'll say that. Even though like there's something about her that I just find like she's catty as fuck. Maybe she's a bully too. I don't know, but like she at least like wears it on her sleeve. She's not fake about it, and so I kind of appreciate it more. But you're right. Like there is edits to everything, and I'm sure anybody doesn't want to be depicted as like somebody who's like a shitty person. I don't think she's a shitty person. I guess it's just like, why are you being so nasty? Like, it doesn't need to be like that. But I hear you. I like, and like, I do understand the comment about like, if this is a man. But then, like,
Like,
I
sorry, when
agree with that. I do agree with that because, like, feminism. But I think that it's interesting because
when
guys
doc
don't say walk by this person and make fun of them. I just don't, they don't do that.
when Dr. Will was going in the DR and making fun of every single person, did we think it was funny or did we think he was just being a bully?
That's true. That's a good point.
Like, what's so different about Netta's gameplay than any other man we've seen do the exact same thing?
You know what it is? I guess for me, I'll be honest, it's just like a straight up Regina George, like mean girl vibe. And I know those girls. I hate those girls. I don't like how they talk to other women. And it makes me, I think it flashes us all back to like high school. And that girl who was like that. And it gets me all riled up because I've like exited that in my life. And so I just kind of like, I see that behavior and I'm just like, oh my goodness, like that poor thing. Like you put yourselves in the shoes and with like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's why.
So I guess since we're talking about this for so long, have you seen any of the Twitter that I've put up?
I haven't. I haven't. No.
That's going on in the Twitterverse about Netta. There's many people supporting her that know and love her and the BB Can alumni, and then there's many people that are just outright saying that it's bullying and how awful it is, et cetera, and then she has her people defending her. So there's mixed reviews going on. I've posted one of the conversations to our Twitter page. If you guys haven't checked it out, check it out. I really truly believe and maybe I was starstruck when I met her because I'm a super fan, but like she actually I met her at the BB Can 3 audition where Lindsay and myself went out to it in Toronto, and I met Netta and I met John, and she actually spent not even kidding you 10 minutes with me actually just talking to me and not just taking a picture and then going off and doing all the ET Canada stuff that they were supposed to be doing. And I'm not exaggerating when I say she legitimately, I was pregnant at the time, and she legitimately spent 10 minutes talking to me about how far along I was, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that and maybe at that point, the fact that her game was amazing hadn't boosted her ego as much as it's being betrayed. But I just don't think that she is that person that she's being made out to be. Nobody coming out of the house and having all the fame of oh, you got to come here, you got to come there, you got to do this ET Canada thing, you got to do that ET Canada thing. That's a fame booster, and it would create an ego for yourself, and nobody spends that much time with somebody they don't know when they're actually not a good person. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I'm to it. Sorry, guys. All right, let's move on because we're probably turning people off for the Netta talk. So much of it anyway. So then we go on, we see the veto. It's not used, and then we get the HOH competition where Ika and Dimitri make up, and Dimitri wins HOH. So he has the sole vote to evict, and we see Gary and Dre all week campaigning to stay, and ultimately it was Ika's decision who went. Thoughts on that?
Ika's decision? Yeah, I guess so. I think it's the wrong choice, but I'm a super Gary fan, so I didn't really see how it benefits her game long run because she could, get William, Dre, Karen, Dimitri, her, and Gary and build her own 6, and that's but I mean, I'm not in that house. And so,
Dre and Gary were on the block, so she could only keep one of them.
No, I know. Oh, I guess. Yeah, that's true. I guess what I'm just saying is when she had her her outward message or her goodbye message, and it was just like, I'm just so sorry. Like, I think she didn't want to do it. I think there was reasons beyond what we know, and so she had to do it. But I didn't like it.
Well, I think she stuck to her 6 in fear of the next upcoming HOH and her side not winning. And I think her thought process was, well, if I save Dre, and I like both of them equally. I think she liked both of them equally. She's like, if I save Dre, I have 2 votes on my side if I get put on the block. If I save Gary, I have 1 vote on my side if I could put on the block with Dimitri. And I think that's what was running through her head personally, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a really risky move for her to be as close as she is to Dre, because just like Dylan and Emily, like, in their friendship, yeah, I you know, like, of course they're gonna, like, the second anybody gets wind of something like that, you put those people on the block, so they're gonna go on the block together in a minute, like, and it's gonna be. I do fear about the double eviction. I do think it's next week, and that can be. Like, I don't know. Like, Kevin's quiet right now. They're not going after Kevin. They're not going after Bruno. It's gonna be Ika. She's strong and she's good. You know.
Yeah. So we're about to enter Spoilerville. So we're going to talk about now who is the current HOH and who's won veto and our thoughts on that. So anybody that doesn't want to hear this, they can turn us off at this point. And thanks for joining into us. So we're going into Spoilerville. So next HOH comp, William won. So Ika proved to pick the right person to stay in Dre. And essentially, William initially wanted to put 2 strong players on the block, and his thoughts going into his HOH ceremony was that he was going to put Dylan and Bruno on the block. Ika talked him out of putting Bruno on the block. She kept her allegiance to the 6 and persuaded him to put Dylan and Emily on the block. So this week we see a shift in power from the 6 to the other side. And we see Ika being in control again with another HOH. Do you think William and Dre made the right decision being persuaded by Ika to put Dylan and Emily on the block as their targets? Yeah?
Yeah, I do. I think they're weak players. I'm not excited by either of their games, so I don't care if either of them go. So at this point, just pick off, like, the lazy ones and let's get to the good stuff. That's a terrible thing to say, but I'm just like, I don't want to see these, like, they just, and I feel like she has, like, 0 personality, and then he is just like this, like, big Lux that just walks around and doesn't know when enough is enough. Every conversation I watch with him, I just, like, he's like that little kid brother. Like, I love my kid brother, of course, he was wonderful, but I'm just saying, like, he's like that brother that doesn't know when the game is over, and he just picks and picks and picks and picks. Like, let it go, buddy. I find him very, like a little bit, like, attention deficit, ADD.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. So I don't know. Like, to me, I'm like, okay. I mean, do you know who won the veto? Because I do.
Yes, I know who won the veto.
So it's Kevin, and Kevin's probably going to keep it the same.
Yeah.
So they'll probably vote Emily. I don't know. No, they'll probably vote Dimitri because Emily's much more. You can control her.
You mean Dylan?
Whatever. Yeah, Dylan.
Not Dimitri. I don't think that they're going to vote Emily out as it stands right now. Ika has made a stance as of feeds like an hour ago. I don't know if that's changed, but as of right now, Ika has made the stance to the 6 that she wants Emily out, or sorry, Dylan out, and that's all there is to it. That Emily can easily be taken out later. And she sees Dylan as a bigger threat. And I think the reason she does is because of the animosity between him and Dimitri. And she thinks that Emily will be more easily controlled.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, smart.
But the only thing that kind of worries me about that is I think by taking Dylan out and eliminating that connection between him and Emily, it's going to bring her closer to Jackie, that we've already started seeing like a little relationship, trust relationship between the 2 of them in this past week develop. And I also think that it will suck her in closer to what Netta wants her to do. I think if we see an Emily HOH, it will definitely be a Netta HOH because she trusts Netta. And same goes for Dylan. Dylan trusts Netta as well, but I see him being more of a physical threat, even though we haven't really seen that on.
It's funny because I thought he would be a physical threat, but the reality of the situation is he's such a big guy that like holding up his body weight on anything, he can't actually do it. He can't do it.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
I don't know. Are you liking this season?
I am liking it, just because it's a mix of old and it's a mix of new. I'm not taking to the newbies as much as I would have hoped. Like I'm not really developed. Like the only person out of the newbies, and you're gonna be like Melissa, the only person out of the newbies I'm really enjoying is Dimitri, and I think it's because of his like relationship with Ika. I think if Ika wasn't part of the equation, I don't think I would enjoy him either. But I can't really say that I'm really like if it were only newbies left and you eliminate all the vets that are there, I don't know who I would root for.
I like Karen. I'm enjoying Karen because like I find she really plays the game. She's super into it. And that like her enthusiasm about the whole thing makes me into it.
She thinks she's being backdoored. She thinks she's this like huge target, and maybe she's just like playing because she is a super fan and she does know the game. Maybe she's just playing it up like she's really just not smart at all game wise. Maybe that's her saying, "Oh, I'm the target this week, aren't I? I'm the backdoor target."
I think she just needs to calm down, but I enjoy watching her. And I don't know that like besides like Big Brother US, I think like in the first season, have they had somebody older go this long? Like she's not really on anybody's radar. She's not like nobody's out to get her. Yeah, like right now it's like that lull of like everybody's like choosing their side and where they're going and what they're doing. I like William. I like Dre. But I would say in the beginning I was a little bit more into it because I really like Cass and Gary, and having them not there, I feel like you kind of took the spine out of the body. That's how I feel. And so I am watching, but I'm not as like into the feeds, and I don't know, I'm just a bit disappointed. Like, and I know like last week was interesting. I think good job. I've never seen that before. I enjoyed it. I also like the Rissa Cox's like welcome to Big Brother backwards or whatever it was. I thought that was kind of clever. But yeah, I don't know. I think something needs to happen. I would like to see double eviction and then bring somebody back in. And I want that somebody to be Gary or Cass. And every time like we thought Cass was coming back, she's like, "What's up, bitches?" I loved it. I loved it so much. I'm so sad she's not there anymore.
I don't know if they're going to bring somebody back at this point. Do you think they will?
Yeah.
Yeah? How do
I
you
don't know why. I just have a feeling. I think like who's out now? You've got like the first guy, Mark or whatever his name is, Dallas, Gary, Cass.
But they're all home. They're not being sequestered like they normally are.
Oh, maybe. They're on Twitter and stuff, right?
Yeah, except for I haven't seen any stuff happen with Gary, but like for the most part, they're all at home right now. So how could they bring them back? I don't know, because they would have had the chance to like rewatch everything back, so they have that unfair advantage going back in. Plus, they're vets.
That's true.
I don't think it is, to be honest, unless they've sequestered Gary and he's first of maybe 4 or first of 3 to go back in. But it would be an even number to go back in. So first of 4. So what are they going to do? Have 3 more evictions and then potentially bring somebody back? That's not fair. Then that's what almost final 4, and they're bringing somebody back.
I don't know. I like at least I'm hoping Bruno stays in for a while. I like him. I also weirdly find him quite attractive. And I know he has children and he's like a dad and all that. But sometimes I'm like, yeah, I get it. He's like totally who I would have dated in high school. His bald spot, not for me. And his children, no thank you. I'm not into fathers and husbands. But I enjoy looking at him. There's something about him. It's like 11% thug and 2% homeless, which is totally my kind of guy.
Lindsay.
Well, it's kind of attractive.
Oh my. Oh my goodness.
Sorry about it.
That's awesome.
Don't you find him attractive?
No.
Yeah, well, see, but that's not your type. My type is a little bit like thug. When he
No,
kicked that bag over the slot pass, I was like, oh, I get it. I understand what your wife is into.
not
He
he
was
doesn't.
so angry, and yet I was so like, huh, I
That's
enjoy this.
one tiny bit. Not one tiny bit.
Okay, well, that's fine. But then you've got Kevin, who's like, who knows what Kevin? I thought he and Pilar were together, or whatever her name is.
Lee.
No, whatever. Why is he hanging around so many like other people? Like hanging off them.
I don't know.
That's
Maybe
weird.
maybe he's bisexual.
It's not about him being like gay, bi, whatever. I'm just saying, like, if you have a girlfriend, don't hang off people like that.
Doesn't have a girlfriend. They're broken up. They've been broken up for a while.
Oh, well, then I guess I didn't know. They are in every picture together on social media. So, how would one know that?
She moved back to Nova Scotia, so she moved out there, I think.
What a
See,
terrible mistake for her.
I don't
Kidding.
know. They're still really good friends. So
Okay.
what I can tell on social media, anyway. So anyway, I think that's rounding up our week of BB Can. And
Sorry about it. I feel like at least Bruno's on my team, in my heart and in my team.
I'm happy Netta's on my team. I don't care what anyone thinks of her. I will always be Team Netta. And with that being said, this rounds up this
Can
week
I
of
ask a question though? Why
yeah,
on your thing does she have like a sticker? Like, why does she get a sticker?
because she got the immunity pass.
Oh my God. Tell me you went out and bought the stickers for it.
No, I had I had I had St. Patty's Day stickers for my
Hmm.
day party that I had, and I figured she got the immunity, which is pure luck of the game, and so
Right.
I just put that sticker there just to show that she won like I don't know, Canadian competition.
Okay.
Even
Can
though we're
you
not,
update our board and take a picture of it?
I will. I'll update our. So we have a fantasy draft. If anyone hasn't checked that out, it's our first video of the season on our YouTube channel, and we picked all of the players and gave our thoughts preseason as to what we thought of them, and put each one of them on our teams. And so we allot points for HOH wins and for veto wins, and then also points at the end of the season for first, second, third, fourth place. And so I will take a picture and post it to our Twitter of our updated draft and who's winning. And my players are dropping like flies on my team, but I'm hoping that the players that I do have left will kick ass in the end game, but we'll see. All right, we're going to round up this week for BB Breakdown 902. Thanks for everybody that joined us live and joins us after the fact. We appreciate all the support. Bye.
Bye, Bruno's hot. Bye.